Keisha's Crumbs, where we have an appreciation for everything homemade, and hopefully you will too. I'm sharing with you our Fish Fry Friday from last night. We had fried salmon, Gouda grits with jalapeno, and a Gouda schmear, honey. So take a look at how we threw this meal together really quickly, y'all. I have my boiling water with some salt, and I always like to add a splash of milk just to make the grits extra creamy. We're going to skip out on the garlic powder and onion powder this time because we're going to add Gouda cheese to those grits and jalapeno, and we want those flavors to sing, nothing more. So we go in with the grits, and honey, almost immediately those things started popping. I had to hurry up and put the top down and get those things covered. But y'all, check out this fish. My local market that sells like all these fancy stuffed salmon dishes, they already have it stuffed for you. Well, they actually take the remainder of the whole salmon fillet and they sell it like this, y'all, in salmon pieces. They don't even display it in the fish case. It's like something you have to know about, and the fishmonger told me because I'm always in there buying fish. So I get this for my mama, I get it for myself, and the kids love to have it fried up. So that's what we have here. These are residual pieces from the little fancy like crab stuffed salmon fillet. All those fillets that the fish counter makes ahead of time for people to buy, they actually sell the leftover pieces from that. So right here, I normally don't put mustard on my salmon, but because I wanted this salmon to have a serious crunch to go with those creamy grits, I was already imagining it in my mind. The crispy, salty, spicy salmon fish with the creamy, hot and spicy Gouda grits, y'all.
Oh, really?
Ooh, there we are with my seasoning. We don't break this down and blend it really well because it just stays in the pantry for our personal use. So that's why you see all the clumps in there, honey. It hadn't been fully processed. But anyway, that is our artisan seasoning blend, UKG. We're going in with it on top of the fish. I'm trying to think, did I add any other seasoning? I think the only other seasoning I ended up adding was a little cayenne pepper because I was making this for Shania. She had gone to work. Yeah, there's the cayenne pepper. She was gonna fry the fish herself, but I ended up making it home before she did. So I surprised her by putting the fish on, and I did it my way. Now the funny thing is, y'all, I am not a good fryer. Like, I don't fry food often. I really prefer for people to cook for me when I'm having my fried foods. My mom normally fries fish every time we go home on the weekend. It's Fish Fry Friday. I think now that we don't go home as often, honey, she decided she not gonna fry fish for us all the time. She doesn't do as much as she used to. But I'm showing you here that I just went in with plain meal. A lot of times if I have Louisiana lemon fish fry on hand, that is my favorite packaged fish fry. But I bought some fresh meal so we can start making cornbread to do dressing. I just dressed it in that. I didn't season the meal. I know a lot of times people do that. The reason why I don't do it because sometimes you end up over salting the meal in the fish, so that's why I didn't do it. You can see these grits are swelling up. That's what I like, y'all. I like not stiff grits, but I like them really thick. And so I actually let them sit after they've been cooked. I kind of let them steam so those grains can swell up and I don't have any grittiness in my grits. So you'll see what I mean. Now we're dropping this fish in the fryer like it's hot, baby, because it is. Ooh wee. Okay, a few things about frying fish. Most of us know, but these are must-have. Your grease has to be really hot. Your oil needs to be hot. You can test it by throwing in just a droplet of water or like a pinch of meal and making sure that that meal fries and floats directly to the top. That's how you know it's hot enough. Number two, once you do start to gently add your fish to the grease, don't crowd the pan. As you can see, I left plenty of room between the pieces of fish because when you put too much in there at one time, it'll actually create a steam. and then your crust won't be as crunchy or as crispy. Don't fry your fish for too long, well, especially not with this salmon, because the salmon will completely dry out. So with any other types of fish, you can fry it as crispy as you want, but you just need to take into account how thick your fish is, because if it's too thick, then you don't want to have your fire up extremely high, because that's going to cause your breading to darken, to get brown more quickly than the fish cooks. So you want to make sure it's hot enough to really fry and your meal stay intact, but you can't have it too high, otherwise your fish will get really dark. Lastly, don't use old grease. It's okay to use your grease more than once, but only one additional time, and you definitely need to strain it. So here we are, y'all, and you can see now what I mean by the grits being thick and they have actually swollen up. So all I did was I dropped in 2 pieces of Gouda cheese. Now let's get ready to prepare this plate. Y'all just look at how beautiful these Gouda grits are. So creamy, super thick. This is the consistency I like. Okay, remember we added a splash of milk to the salt water, and so it is Gouda jalapeno grits, and I'll insert a picture of the jalapeno that I use right here. I'm sure you've seen these herbs in the produce section of your grocery store. I will tell you that the jalapeno is not in every store that sells these tubes, but if you can find it, it is a great thing to have. The jalapeno tastes so fresh, and it is perfect for recipes like this, because I mean, even though the jalapeno is in the tube, it really has a fresh flavor. There's no vinegar. It's not that they've been pickled or anything. It's just that they've been finely diced and processed to fit inside the tube, and it was delicious. It added the perfect kick to these grits. And so at this point, y'all, I'm just trying to find a way to plate the grits. I didn't want to just put a scoop in the middle of the plate, because the only other thing we're having is the fish pieces, and this plate is for my daughter, and so I was making it the way she would like it. I also made a cheese sauce, a little cheese sauce from the Gouda cheese, and I probably would have poured a little of that over the entire plate. And I'm sure it would have been more attractive that way, because you would have seen all the cheesiness going around the grits and on top of the fish. But I knew that Shania wouldn't want her fish like that, so I ended up doing a smear. Because I knew I was doing a smear, I basically did a pile of the Gouda grits at one end, and then I kind of laid them flat down on the end where I would pile up the fish. Okay, now that we have that done, I'm just gonna go in with my kitchen shears and cut off some green onion. She loves green onion the same way I do, just to add some brightness to the fish itself. The jalapeno adds a bit of brightness to the Gouda grits, but then you'll have that little bite of crunch from the green onions and the freshness of the onions when you bite down into the fish. Here is the Gouda cheese sauce that I made. And I said, well, goodness, I started to pour it on there. Again, that's what I would have wanted, just to kind of drizzle it all over the top of both the grits and the fish. And excuse me for putting my arm in front of the camera there, y'all. I didn't even realize I was blocking the camera, and you didn't really get to see me make the smear. But that's what I'm doing, honey, being fancy and putting a smear on the side, because I know how she likes to dip things. So when she gets ready to eat her salmon and her grits, she can kind of take the fish, break it off, and kind of dip it into the cheese sauce, and then also have a bite of grits with it. And I think I ended up being correct, y'all. These are red jalapenos. I actually picked these up from the Hispanic market, and they are delicious. I'm just gonna finish the plate with some nature seasoning, just to give it a little more salt, add a little more seasoning, and then to give a little more color to the plate. And so this is the final product, y'all. The red jalapenos do have a different flavor profile from the green, and they actually have a sweetness to them. A little spicy, just like a regular green jalapeno, but they're actually sweet. Today I'm going to cook white beans, and I'll put them in there too. So be on the lookout for my white beans and okra video. Thank y'all for watching today's video. Remember, it's Keisha's Crumbs, because I'm giving you my last, and I give my last to those I love. See y'all next time.